Hello and welcome to Reality Check. We are live from Times Square to focus on 100 days of Trump Sarkar. Should India be optimistic or should India be wary? Now remember, when Donald Trump was elected, many thought there would be a natural chemistry between him and Narendra Modi as two populist leaders with right-of-center political leanings. To the extent that Donald Trump even used a twist from the Modi campaign for his own campaign video. As he put it, Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar.
Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar.
We love the Hindus. We love India.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Well, joining me to debate what that means for India, here live at Times Square, is a very special panel. I have with me Shalabh Kumar, the Indian-American businessman who everyone knows has Donald Trump's here. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Pax Hart, Republican commentator. Great to see you again. Bal Das. Now, he's somebody who's very well known in the temples of high finance in Wall Street, but he's also a very well-known Hillary Clinton fundraiser, and hopefully he'll be giving us the Democrat point of view on the show. Thank you, Mr. Das, for joining us. Also going to be joining us from New Delhi, we have with us Amy Kasmin, who's with The Economist. We also have Hardeep Puri with us. He's someone who's been a former envoy of India to the United Nations and now affiliated with the BJP. Also R. Chandrasekhar, who's the head of NASSCOM, which is India's premier software industry advocacy body. Let me start with you, Shalabh Kumar. Now, you know, Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar, that was the slogan which you gave, the indication being that Donald Trump would be pro-India. But if you look at, let me start off with trade first. If you look at what he's been doing with the H-1B visa program, it doesn't look like that. What's going on?
No, I don't think that's the case here. H-1B visa, as I've said before, that will be passed by the Congress. Any legislation with respect to that will be passed by Congress, and it's too early to say anything with respect to that. In fact, one of the very senior senators from Utah has recommended actually doubling the number of H-1B visas.
But that's not what Donald Trump seems to be saying. He seems to be saying that he wants to bring in much tougher restrictions. That's going to make it harder for Indian companies to send people. In fact, Infosys has already hired 10,000 people here.
No, that's not correct. You see, it's what all he has said at this point in time is that he is going to make it, make the fraud be more controlled.
Okay.
So you'll be a tougher control on what the current legislation is. There is no legislation being changed, and H-1B is really not the issue with respect to trade.
Okay, let me come to the other issues which I'm sure you'll raise first. But Pax Hart, while Shalabh Kumar might be trying to put a more positive spin on it, the fact is that it is going to become harder, isn't it? Not just for Indians, but for other workers across different communities, immigrants, to come into America.
Well, you have to take into account one of the main driving factors of why President Trump was elected. I've been in the finance industry as an IT specialist for 20 years.
Right.
You know, we're having a problem within the United States of large amounts of students who are coming out of universities in the STEM sciences who cannot get entry-level positions because corporations are filling those positions with, I wouldn't say highly skilled, I would say mid-range programmers.
Right.
So those, you know, me personally, I started from the bottom and worked my way up, and now I'm, you know, now I'm a software engineer and a project manager. Those avenues have been systematically shut down for American workers because it's cheaper for corporations to fill those slots with, you know, with foreign workers. So that's just one of the issues, and I've actually spoken directly to Mr. Trump about this.
Okay.
You know, that was a concern for a lot of people. You know, there is a perception that
there's abuse.
Well, there is abuse going on, and the abuse I would say more is going on by the corporations who are using it to get cheap.
Okay, let me just go across to Mr. Chandrasekhar of NASSCOM and ask him whether he agrees with that, Mr. Chandrasekhar. A, do you agree that the H-1B visa program is being abused? And B, are you concerned about the sounds you're hearing from the Trump administration about how they're going to restrict these visas?
No, I think first and foremost there is absolutely no ground to think that the H-1B visa program is being abused. What is happening is that anyone who has any concern with the H-1B policy as of now terms it an abuse of the visa program, whereas all investigations by US authorities have only shown that Indian companies have been fully compliant with the provisions of the law as they exist. So I don't think that that is correct. The second thing is that in terms of the statements emanating from the US, obviously there are concerns. As of now, they are statements, they have not been translated into any specific policy measures. So I think we need to really be a little patient and see what is actually happening. But I think certainly the statements do pose a cause for some concern. At the same time, I think we do see signs that the administration understands the importance of technology, the importance of technology services, and the importance of skilled workers in that context. So we'll really have to wait and see what kind of executive action and a little later perhaps what kind of legislative action actually takes shape in the US.
Just keep it steady. All right, right. Let me just turn to Baldas here. Baldas, are you concerned that these decisions by the Trump administration, they claim they're only cracking down on misuse, but overall the philosophy of trying to turn inwards, is that going to hurt American innovation?
I certainly think that the belief is widespread that yes, it will hurt American innovation, because innovation doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It's an ecosystem, which is why today China and vast parts of Europe are trying to mimic that ecosystem, and it takes time to build, but it's easy to bring.
Right.
Yes, in the medium term,
yes,
I think it will have. It is already, you're seeing it, a discernible impact
right.
on how innovative we are as a society, our country is.
Okay. All right. Let me just go across to Hardeep Puri, if I might, Mr. Puri. Now, like I was mentioning earlier, that there was a perception that Donald Trump would be in alignment with the philosophy of the BJP government in India. But when you look at this trend, and we're seeing this across the board with these populist leaders, with this sense of nativism, with the closing in of borders, is that something which is a matter of concern to India, and has the Indian government raised this with the American government?
Srinivas, you've raised a large number of adjectives. I'm not sure whether I can subscribe to all of them, but let me just say that there was an expectation that since successive governments in India have invested heavily in the bilateral relationship, the Trump administration will also see a continuation of that momentum. I don't think beyond that there was any expectation. I don't know what you mean by right-wing, nativist, and all those things. What I can tell you is that the Indo-US relationship in and of itself is very strong. I think the Prime Minister of India has invested in this relationship quite significantly in the last 3 years. And from whatever I've seen of the Trump administration, which is barely 100 days old and which is still work in progress, I'm quite confident that by the time we have a high-level summit-level interaction with the United States in the coming months, many of the issues on which you are expressing anxiety today, including H-1B, issues relating to countries in our neighborhood, I think those will be resolved. So I am not willing to be party to this anxiety generation or, reading individual statements out of context. Please note that large number of posts in the State Department are lying unfilled. When you look at what is happening in North Korea, the Americans don't have an ambassador in Tokyo, they don't have an ambassador in Seoul, they don't have an ambassador in Delhi. So there are a large number of administrative actions which have to be filled, and then the normal MEA State Department interaction takes place. But we have very good contacts with the Trump administration, and I have no doubt that in the coming days and weeks that will be strengthened.
Okay, let me turn to the other question before I come to you, Amy Kasman, which is to do with India and Pakistan. And we've already seen there that statement that Nikki Haley made, where she said that they don't have a problem getting involved. They'll try and find a role between India and Pakistan. Now that's a huge problem for India.
Well, you see, just like Hardeep just said, we are looking at every statement and getting too anxious, too much anxiety is taking place, and India can be very assured that it will have a great relationship with the United States.
But on the specific of it,
very
on the specifics of India and Pakistan.
India, Pakistan, if, for example, India and Pakistan both request President Trump to be involved, to have some kind of a dialogue, he'd be more than happy.
That is totally against India's position.
But
I mean,
India may have a India may currently have this position.
Having also, are you saying that
if Modi says, if Nawaz Sharif and Modi, they decide, hey, it'll be a good idea to have, they've started a relationship anyway. If they think, oh, it may be actually provide a little bit of an impetus to get things going, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
you know me, I am as anti-terror and against radical Islam as there could be. But I will open that if they, if both leaders say, if three leaders say that is good.
Like I said, that would be a huge jump from India's position. If I can just go across to Amy Kasman. Amy Kasman, tell me, when we see these sorts of statements coming from the Trump administration, we have Mr. Hardeep Puri there, people like Shalabh Kumar saying, listen, don't make too much of it. But it does indicate, doesn't it, that with Donald Trump, you are in uncharted territory. You can't clearly say what line he's going to take, which side he's going to be on, and that's something which India is discovering.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, I think there's a few different things to unpack here. When you're saying he's unpredictable, I think that's true, and we are somewhat in uncharted territories. But I'd like to remind you that, Obama, during his election campaign at some point, made similar comments about how the United States needed to, mediate between India and Pakistan before the situation deteriorated. There's, obviously great fear that the two countries are both nuclear armed. He made those comments. I guess it was made very clear to him that this was not an acceptable public stand from New Delhi's point of view, and I don't think after he became, or soon after he was elected or took office, we never heard such statements again, and India went on to have very warm relations with President Obama. So I think it's important to also remember that the Trump administration, Trump is not a man who was abreast of international politics, really. He was a man focused on running a domestic real estate business and franchising out his name to real estate developers around the world. He is not, an experienced and conventional politician who will understand the sensitivities of different international partners. Even Nikki Haley, with her, very credible reputation in her own state, she's not an experienced diplomat. So these are definitely the signs of a new administration that is learning its way around the sensitivities of its major international partners. But that doesn't mean you're not still in uncharted waters.
All right, okay. Let me just get Hardeep Puri in on what Shalabh Kumar said, because Narendra Modi is expected to visit perhaps in the next month or so, we don't know, but a visit is very much due. That's what we're told. What do you make of the statement that Shalabh Kumar made, where he said that, look, if India and Pakistan want someone like Donald Trump to mediate, Donald Trump thinks or says he's a deal maker, then he's happy to do that?
Srinivas, I don't want to interpret what Mr. Shalabh Kumar is saying, but I can tell you one thing. Mr. Modi joining Mr. Nawaz Sharif in a joint venture like this ain't going to happen. So just forget about it. India's position has been clear for the last several decades. I've been in the Foreign Service for over 4 decades, and there is just no way India is going to treat its relationship with Pakistan in anything other than a bilateral setting. And I don't want to go beyond that. These statements have been made by incoming administrations in the past, but once they are fully briefed and they realize what the issues are, they will then again revert back to the fact and to the mode that this is something to be discussed bilaterally between India and Pakistan without any need whatsoever by any other party involved.
Okay, fair enough. That's a strong stating of India's position. Baldas, what do you make of Donald Trump when he says these sorts of statements, or at least his administration makes these statements about India and Pakistan? Does it once again suggest that there is not a clear grasp of the basic fundamentals of foreign policy, or is he just someone who's, you know, breaking the norms?
It actually reinforces a concern that we all have, which is fundamentally that he really does not have an understanding, and you can't fault him for that, but what you'd like for him to do is to have around him people, his Secretary of State and others, who have a good grip of what truly informs American national security interest and hence its foreign policy.
And you're saying he doesn't have those sorts of people?
I'm afraid he does not. You know, you cannot have a Secretary of State make a statement to the State Department that America is going to pursue its interests. In a way, the statement was made as if those interests would be exclusive of values.
Right.
Contrast that with the speech of President-elect Macron, where he said, our interests and our value, and I'm paraphrasing, cannot be separated. I had always thought routinely American presidents heading back to the time of Herbert Walker Bush or even President Reagan before, Democrats and Republicans always were both realists but strive to encase American national security and American national policy in that construct. So yes, there is room for great concern when you see the people that the president has surrounded himself with.
Would you agree with that, Baksar?
I would just point out that you know, he made very clear throughout the campaign, and this is why a lot of Americans voted for him. We've had president after president engaging in foreign adventurism, trying to essentially be, you know, I mean, we are a superpower. There was a lot of pullback during the Obama administration. We need to show that we are a presence. We are a unifying and you know, and stabilizing force in the world. But at the same time, we elected him to be the president of this country, not to go around the world being everyone else's president.
Maybe he doesn't have the right kind of advice, Shalabh Kumar. Maybe he needs you now to be in a position to formally give him that advice. Do you want to share anything with us on that front?
No, let me just tell you this. You all, the whole world, all these so-called leaders, all the experienced foreign secretaries, Henry Kissinger, and all that,
so-called leaders?
They will be all surprised. You know, I hear this, oh, President Trump does not have the foreign policy experience, he doesn't know the world, and all this stuff, Rex Tillerson doesn't know. You will be all shocked. You know, just look at what has happened with Russian relations.
But that's the whole point. We're already shocked.
No, because he is smarter than all of these people combined. Okay? And he is like, think of him like a Muhammad Ali in a boxing ring. Okay? Rope-a-dope. Sting like a bee. Okay? Think of him.
That's an interesting metaphor when it comes to foreign policy. But I want to ask you very specifically, though, on India and Pakistan. Because you, like you said, your alignment was with him because you thought he had the same agenda when it comes to Pakistan, when it comes to Islamic terrorism. But he's not said anything since he's becoming president, which indicates that.
Look, there are what you need to understand about Trump, or what the world needs to understand about Trump. He's got some basic philosophies. Okay? And all these other moves, that's why I give the equation, I'm equating it to Muhammad Ali there. See, these are all different moves.
Right.
For example, for the last 5 months, Democrats have been accusing him that he's slave to Russians.
Yes.
Look what happened. Look what happened.
With what?
They say they got him elected to be the president of the United States. With all. And then what happened? Look at what happens in Syria. When Russia says no-fly zone in Syria, he says, who said so?
Okay.
So I'm going to fly.
All
so
right, okay. You've opened up a whole new debate there for, unfortunately, which we don't have time, but it's definitely an issue and an area which we will focus on. Thank you very much indeed, Shalabh Kumar, Pax Hart, Baldas for being with us, also Amy Kasman and Hardeep Puri. Mr. Chandrasekhar in Delhi will be back tomorrow night at the same time, 9:30, with our continuing focus on the first 100 days of Trump Sarkar. Should India be wary or should India be optimistic? Thank you for watching. Good night.